The old woman continued to pick at her arms and face, but thankfully she had stopped laughing. As the sun came through the only window in the tiny room, it revealed the appalling conditions that surrounded her. Rat feces were scattered about, and the walls were damp with mold in every corner of the room. Dried blood and bodily fluids made the old wooden floor an ideal place for bacteria to thrive. Wherever she was, it was not a place for the faint of heart. Unsure what time or even what day it was, Patty became startled when the sound of bells began to ring throughout. She had no idea that this horrendously loud noise was a call to the patients to come to the dining room. Her roommates seemed programmed, as all three immediately stopped what they were doing and left the room. Soon the noise stopped, and Patty remained still. All she could hope for was that someone would come and take her home. Patty had been overlooked again. As she lay in her filthy bed, she looked up at the cracked and broken plaster on the ceiling above her. She was malnourished and weak, and despite feeling cold and uncomfortable, she soon fell back to sleep. This was Patty's only escape, but sadly, her nightmare had just begun. 1. It was the summer of 1907, and Amelia Fern had been dead for almost 2 months. She had been looking after Patty's every need since helping to deliver her son, Ian. Amelia had been a brilliant midwife and a wonderful caregiver, and because of Patty's paralysis, she had been the obvious choice when it came to delivering her baby. Patty relied on Amelia for everything since her husband, Chris, had virtually given up on his wife following the accident that had caused her to lose the use of her legs. But sadly, Amelia began to experience some psychosis and had even come to believe that Patty was her own daughter. This had come about suddenly and without warning. When Amelia left Patty's home to get supplies on a cold winter's day in February, she'd had every intention to return. If not for an undiagnosed heart condition, she would have. In April of that same year, Amelia would pass away after spending almost 3 months in the hospital. Unfortunately, without Amelia in her life, Patty's life and the life of her infant son would be put in jeopardy. On that fateful day, Amelia had been traveling on foot for many miles when she became disoriented. Snow had blanketed much of the rural area where she lived, and after walking in circles for several hours, she began to feel weak and short of breath. If not for the help of strangers, Amelia would have died that day, and chances are her body wouldn't have been recovered until the spring. When she finally arrived at Aurelia's Memorial Hospital, she was barely alive, having suffered a near-fatal heart attack and spending several hours outdoors in freezing temperatures. After being stabilized physically, which took several weeks, her physician referred her to psychiatry when he noticed she had no memory of what had happened to her and limited cognitive abilities. Dr. Shaw was a dedicated psychiatrist, and over the months had tried to gain her trust and diagnose her mental illness. Just prior to her death, Amelia did regain most of her memories, and she left a personal journal behind for the doctor. Although the writing was illegible at times, Dr. Shaw was able to piece together the puzzle that was Amelia's life, and would eventually answer many of his questions and tell him why she had suffered an emotional breakdown. Dr. Shaw was the head of psychiatry at the hospital and had written many articles on the subject. During his time with Amelia, he had learned that despite her physical decline, she was extremely intelligent and had been a practicing midwife for many years. He was intrigued by her inner strength, and he took his time as he helped her to recall her past. During her stay at the hospital, she was diagnosed with psychosis as well as congestive heart failure. It had taken quite a while before Amelia began to trust him. In the beginning, she had insisted.
To keep listening to this audiobook, I've left you a link in the description so you can do it, at no cost thanks to Audible's 30-day free trial.